All right, very good. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Hopefully, I'm just going to put this between us so we can both speak. All right, so welcome everybody. July 23rd planning board meeting. So we're just going to start off with an attendance.
There we go. Eric Talbot.
Here.
Michael Aronson.
Here.
Angelica Kanganis.
Here.
Brenda Burbeck.
Here.
And Chair Roy.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, and just noting that absent today, we don't have Phil Murray, board member Phil Murray, board member Carla Elia, board member Bobby Bowker, board member Isabel Mien, and that's it. So
Serving as
right, yeah. So both alternates, Brenda Burbeck and Angelica Kanganis, will be eligible to vote on all matters. Okay, so we'll start off with the approval of last month's minutes. And just as a reminder, so I think it was myself, Michael, Eric, and Angelica were all present. So can I have a motion from one of those board members for approval of last month's minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Michael Aronson, second.
And a roll call.
Hey, Eric Talbot.
Aye.
Michael Aronson.
Aye.
Angelica Kanganis. And Chair Roy.
Aye. All right, very good. So now we'll jump right into the agenda. First up on the agenda for tonight, new business. Item A is BAR 08-2021. This is Water Street and Central Avenue. And this is a amendment of a previously granted BAR approval at the DPW site. So if we could have the applicant come up. And you guys can, and we'll bring the revised package up, put it up on the screen, and we will let the applicant explain to the board where the project is and what's going on with this change.
Sure. Good evening, Jim Wendland from WBP Development. I'm joined by Chris Hahn from WBP and Maxwell Power Partner with Fire Bill. We're here for 30 Water Street. And first, let me say, we've been before you for quite a few years now. We're excited that we have a start date. We've been greenlit by the state agency, so we will be closing and starting construction in October. It was finished with Con Ed, which was a long process that I know more to do with the details about. We're in the grant for the cleanup program. We are done with our negotiation with Con Ed. So all really good news. We're excited. The capital stack is all put together. So this change is a facade that relates to facade material. Maxwell will walk you through the change, and then I'll answer any questions. But we spent a lot of time on this design. We think it still works well with the garage, which is a major part of the discussions during the approval process. So again, I'll turn it over to Maxwell, and then we'll answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Again, my name is Maxwell. I'm a partner at Fire Bill, architect, and just echoing what Jim just said. We're just really excited for this project in terms of its architectural impact, its affordable housing impact, as well as its planning impact. So today we're here to seek an amendment on really one item, which is to change the approved thin brick material that you see on the screen right now to a metal panel system. So this is the rendering of the approved version of the building, right? Which has the thin brick panels with full of windows and sort of wood grain metal panel that is adjacent to that. So, for us, we wanted to remain true, even with this change of material, to the original intent, which is to ensure that it's a contemporary, beautiful looking building that will really last in time. Right? Something that looked dated the moment it's built. And at the same time, we also wanted to design that's practical and long-term. An important building that needs to be timeless on the site. So with this redesign, we wanted to keep those principles in mind, but also keep in mind the sort of general tonality of the building. So it's sort of light gray tone of the building we wanted to keep. And we also wanted to keep that wood grain panel system that we have next to the windows, because I think what that does is offer sort of a variance to the facade, but also a warmth to the facade and kind of ties it nicely. So if you go to the next slide, this is a rendering of the roof garage design. Again, it's a sort of idea of using these metal panels and these sort of variegated pattern to give the movement on the facade. There's no proposed changes at all to this. So the next slide shows the proposed modification from the thin brick to the metal panel system. And, ultimately, for us, the change to this panel, I think gives us a little bit more design flexibility. And allows us to maintain a very high performance envelope on the building. That's necessary for a building that's pretty highly sustainable, in terms of meeting the enterprise green communities, and there's a lot of sustainable elements of this building. So we wanted to pick a material that could work really well with that, maintain the continuous installation we have on the facade. One thing I wanted to point out is there are a few minor tweaks that we made to the facade as well. So one of the things we did was we thinned up the horizontal spangles. So that sort of horizontal gray, that kind of see right there, it's a little thinner than before, so it kind of makes the windows a little bit bigger. We kept the wood grain panels that are adjacent to the window to keep that variation. But if you squint, and I'll show you another image of it. The metal panel is predominantly gray, but there are a few panels on verticals that look a little bit darker. The tone is just a little bit different. And that's intentional. We want to have a little bit of variation on the panel facade itself, only on those vertical views. I think that's going to add a little bit of spark, a little bit of some variety to this facade. So if you go to the next slide, I have some images of what that would look like. So these are just precedent images. Some of these are projects that we've done in the past. So in the middle, right there in that gray image, that's actually a metal panel that's exactly the same color, verticals. But because there was a bit of a grain texture in the panel, when we turned it, it made it look like it was just a little bit off, but it's intentional. The images on the right are other projects that also have that sort of subtle shift between the two very, very similar metal panel colors. Again, we like that idea of sort of being very vivid. And then the other element of, I think, keeping the tonality of the building as we had it improved, which is sort of this light, medium gray range, is that we think it picks up the color of the sky, or picks up the color of the environment a little bit better. The images on the left is actually the same project up in New Shell. So on the bottom left is a metal panel. It's a metal panel facade. Up on the top left, where it's sort of that golden hue, sort of get by the sun, it's that same panel, right? So it sort of gives building an ability to have a little more dynamic. We like this. So those are sort of some precedents to kind of give you a sense of what we're doing. If we go to the next slide, this is just a blow up of, it kind of gives you a better sense looking at head on to the side. Right. So again, the predominantly gray metal panel, and then every so often we take a vertical pier, just kind of tweak that color a little bit, so it's got a sort of tinge. You can see how the horizontal spans are a little bit thinner now, so have the wood grain texture, and that's nice and nice. Next slide. The next slide was just something that we wanted to present to the board as well. Is if we wanted to go slightly darker into sort of a more medium gray tone, we can do that as well in this building. We think it would still be very, very striking. But all the exhibits that we're showing you is the lighter. So I just wanted to show you that we looked at. So if we go to the next slide. So we updated all of the elevations. So again, the amendment here is strictly really the change of the thin brick to a metal panel. There's no changes, any requests for any changes to height or setbacks, that needs to change at all. So that and the ground floor will have the metal panel coming down. It's all on the ground, all the storefront stays the same as previously. So we scroll through this slide, and I think two more slides, just updating the elevation. So it's updated. This is the side facing Main Street. Next slide are the two end pieces. The one on the left is facing Water Street with the retail storefront floor and the building sets back. And then on the right is the image of the east side of the building where the community spaces on. These are updated. If you go to the next slide, we've just added in just some typical sections just so you can see. We actually had aluminum panels on the building before, so the detail conversion is very simple. Just extended into section. So on the top right is a typical detail of the condition that the window head, window set, and the is the standard. The next slide. So then finally, just recapping it, this is what we're proposing as a modification, and we just added two more renderings since we're at it. So this is a view looking from the kiln, looking back west. So on the bottom left, there is the community space, and then the lobby is to the right of that, just further to the right is Water Street. And then the next slide over is the aerial view. Of course, nobody will see this, but it does give a context of how the two buildings start to feel more of an ensemble with each other, right? So the garage has panels, some of those panels make it onto the residential buildings. So we're really excited about this change. We think the buildings will be really, really striking.
Thank you very much. I'm just gonna open this up to the board members here just for comments or thoughts.
I like it. I don't have any major concerns. I think I actually like it, prefer it over the brick. I'm wondering if this is the same materials as on the Peekskill project, or is it different? That building that's sort of at the foot of, as you come off of 9.
Not.
No. Oh, okay, so I'm confusing the project then. Sorry, never mind. But I really don't have any concerns about it.
I think it's it looks very good. I think it's a positive change. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the stone veneer looked like, but I have seen it in person, and it can be attractive, but it seems like to maintain it is challenging, and it's also, yeah, I don't know that it's as attractive. I guess the only question I would ask is, have you installed panels like this on other buildings, and have you seen how they weather over time?
Yes, so the slide which had the images, the middle and the left images are part of it. I think metal panels last a long time. I think it's a more durable material.
Of course.
We have more control. So the image in the middle is part of the side, King Street, and then the two images on the left are.
Thank you.
Angelica or Brenda, do you have any comments or thoughts?
Yeah, I was wondering, just out of curiosity, how old are those projects?
So the one on the left, short 21, and the other one was 2000.
And can we just look at there was a sheet that had the colors, the color swatches? Yeah, that one. So the bottom sample, I think it just said brushed. Is that a coated, or is that just more like a mill type finish?
No, they're all painted.
They're all painted finishes. Okay.
I mean, they have a material that has a little bit of matte brushed. So yeah, it will be. So
Is that when you're talking about the different the textures where you get rotational difference in
Yeah.
color? Cool. If there are no other board comments, can I have a motion to open a public hearing on this amendment?
So, yeah, motion for-
Eric Talbot, second.
Any objections? Oh, no objections. So we're now in a public hearing. So I'm going to ask if there's anybody who would like to speak to this application. I'll start off in the room. Is there anybody here who would like to speak to this application? Do not see anybody. If there's anybody on Zoom, you can use the hand raise function in Zoom. And I do not see any hands going up. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing on this application?
Michael Aronson, motion to close the public hearing.
Eric Talbot, second.
Need like 16 hand signals or
Trying to
something.
share.
All right, I heard that it was seconded by Brenda Burback. Can I have, all right, so any objections? No objections. The public hearing is closed. As to kind of look over to the staff, do we have any other comments or questions that we should be asking relevant to this?
Yeah.
Okay. Then with that, agree. I think this is a great change. Really, I'm kind of excited to see this project move forward. Can we have a motion to approve the application? And I guess I'm just going to take a step back with the colors that were shown in the main rendering. I know there were two different color palettes that were proposed. One was, I think, I understood as a contrast, but I'm assuming the applicant is looking at the color scheme that was shown in the majority of renderings.
Yes, the lighters.
Yeah. Okay. So. Angelica, sorry.
Oh.
I interrupted you.
Michael Aronson, second.
And we'll do a roll call.
Okay, Eric Talbot,
Aye.
Michael Aronson,
Aye.
Brenda Burback,
Aye.
Angelica Kanganis,
Aye.
and Chair Roy.
All right, very good. So I'm just gonna remind the applicant that for this application, you will wait for your resolution before you get your building permit, so. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, next on the agenda, sorry.
Oh, I think Eric and I need to make things.
Well, actually, that's a really
Oh.
good point.
Recuse ourselves, so we haven't.
Yeah,
voted or
because
anything
we,
on this
I think
project before.
we will, we have, there was a letter written for.
Yeah, no, this is the same, yeah, you guys have
It's
your
just you
two,
don't have.
I
it.
would,
Then we do-
I want to ask,
yeah,
I'm gonna ask our attorney this question, because this is really dealing with more of like utilities as opposed to actual approval of the plans. Would it be okay if they voted on that?
I don't see an issue.
Yeah,
Okay,
right, so it's not like actually, you're not approving the development, right? That's already been approved, this is modifications to the site plan.
It's the location of the
Yeah.
utility poles.
okay,
So it's
that's
not,
fine.
okay.
that case, we have the applicant here, sorry, so this is just to introduce the item, this is planning board 15/2021. 138-140 Croton Avenue. And in this case, the applicant is seeking an amendment to a site plan that was previously granted. And it deals with the relocation of overhead electrical wiring from the original site plan. So I have the applicant here, and I guess we can put the site plan up on the screen. And I'll let the applicant let us know where we are and what this changes.
Okay.
Okay, just a sec.
Sure. So good evening, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Diana Kolev. I'm from the firm of Del Bello, Danellen, Weingarten, Wise, and Whitaker. We're the project attorneys. Also here tonight is Joseph Apicella of Quest and Development, as well as Franz Lockey of SESI Engineering. And we do also have, we should have Anthony Bonapastori on Zoom as well. He's on our construction team. So this is a pretty minor amendment. What we're talking about here is this was originally approved as a 3.5-story multifamily building with 73 units of affordable senior housing, covered parking, and flex community and retail spaces. It was originally approved in 2022. We have been back a couple of times for extensions of site plan approval. Actually, most recently in May of this year, we were here again before you. But I know there might be some new members, so just wanted to give you that background. We've been working diligently with village staff, ahead of the construction financing closing, because that's expected soon. And we're also, working towards finalizing meeting all conditions of site plan and pulling a building permit. So one issue that it's not really what has come up is there's some offsite electrical work that will service this project, and Con Edison is entirely in charge of that matter. This is entirely within their purview. And they are requiring that the electrical service poles be moved across the street from the project rather than being placed underground. This was something that was discussed originally back in 2022 as a possibility. I know that there were some indications made on a utility plan as part of site plan. And so that's why we're back before you now for an amendment to clarify that. What all we're asking for tonight is that you grant this minor amendment so that we can proceed with construction of this project. We're here to answer any questions that you might have. What we provided to you is a conceptual plan. We're still finalizing now with Con Ed, but ultimately they're going to be the ones to finalize this.
Thank you. Valerie, I'm just gonna ask you just, really quickly, is there anything that we should, any questions that we should be paying attention to on this?
No, and I'm gonna turn it over to Tony because he's been really working with them closely, but from the planning perspective, really, it was really more focused on, we needed to move the wires to begin with because of the fire safety. And just making sure that everyone is aware of the moving them across the street as opposed to burying them. And also notifying the property owners that neighboring them that these wires were gonna be moved as part of the site plan public hearing.
Yeah, so I was out there with contact, they weren't gonna budge on the underground wires, so, the plans to move across the street, the only thing, meeting with the fire department, the village engineer is, we just requested that extra pole be put in, which they did, keep the wires higher. For fire, for the way they would actually fight the fire, they wanted the wires to make sure they didn't sag in the middle, so. We're kind of the person
So this was a kind of a Con Ed imperative.
Mhm.
It was, and moving them was required as part of the original site plan, as part of the fire department's evaluation of the site. So we're kind of accommodating both of those
That's correct.
agencies.
That's correct.
And I just want to note for the board from a secret perspective, the neg deck the board initially adopted contemplates that the wires could have been undergrounded or above. So this doesn't affect your secret findings.
So in addition to those two requests, it's consistent with our original negative declaration.
Yes.
That's very helpful. Thank you. Any board member questions on the change? So and again, I guess a part of this hearing is also a way of making sure that everybody in the neighborhood is notified and the properties across the street, where these poles will be located.
That's correct.
See any comments from the board right now? Can I have a motion to open a public hearing?
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to open the public hearing.
Any objections? No objections. We are in a public hearing. Is there anybody in this room from the public to speak to this application? Don't see anybody in the room. Is there anybody on Zoom? You can use the hand raise function. If you would like to speak, I don't see anybody using the hand raise function. Can I have a motion from the board to close the public hearing in this application?
Michael Aronson, motion to close the public hearing.
Any objections? Great, no objections. That motion carries. All right, so I think, we've heard from staff, we've heard from the applicant. This seems straightforward, consistent with the prior site plan, just kind of a option B kind of in the original concept. Can I have a motion? Well, let me just make sure, are we, any other questions that we haven't asked?
No.
Motion to approve the amendment.
I'll make the motion to approve the amendment.
And we will, I realize there's very few of us here tonight, so all the last turns. We'll do a roll call, please.
Okay, Michael Aronson.
Aye.
Eric Talbot.
Aye.
Brenda Burback. Aye. And Delegate Kanganis. Aye. Chair White.
Right, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item, this is a BAR 17-2024. This is for 7 Ward Place. And this is a BAR approval for a second floor addition at an existing residence. Let's see, we have JP here to present. So let's get the drawings up on the screen. And JB, you can go for it.
Okay, good evening. This is a 500 square foot addition. What you're looking here is the front of the residence and the rear side and the side and the right side of the residence. If you take me to the drawings. We are proposing a second floor in the rear side of the building. And you're gonna see, since you have it here, I can show you right now, you have existing and proposed elevation. And the way we're proposing the elevation, the addition, you only will see a portion of those windows in the back. If you go back a couple. No, go the other direction. Just let me go over the drawing. Oh, those are just the elevations? Yeah. Oh, the plans. I was gonna. Okay. Next. So This is next sheet. I think that this one kind of tells the story. We have 2 bedrooms. We are an upstairs for the family. And if you could scroll down a little bit, you see a schematic section. That's how we are managing to get the 2 bedrooms upstairs. The roof is very shallow on the front. And then the only change they are doing to the front of the house is the roof and the siding that they're changing. And this is very much just, we have 2 windows in the back.
So those are clear,
Balconies.
clear story windows in the front there. Those
Yeah.
aren't actually, those are above the tops of those closets.
Yes,
And what's, I'm sorry, I was just gonna ask one quick, and what's the existing height on the interior to the peak of the roof, and what are you raising it up to?
if you, can you zoom in, please?
Sorry, we can speak a little bit louder.
Okay.
Yeah,
Jimmy
that
K.
dimension
I know
here.
you're soft.
If you zoom in, then you'll be able to. The top height is going to be in the section is going to be 11 feet. That's in order to feed fit the windows, and it's 8 feet in the rear.
8 feet in the rear, and that which is more or less where the existing peak, the top of the existing roof is,
Yes.
where the ridges.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we're well within the height. That's just
No variances.
no.
I just wanted to clarify again, the windows that you see from the front of the house are not full windows. Those are.
No.
just-
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And as you said, they're above the interior closet. Is that what you said? I'm sorry.
They are above the closet, so they're bringing light
Right,
into the
okay.
bedroom.
Because can we see the facade again? Facade?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I just it feel, I mean, I guess maybe there's not an alternative, but it just feels kind of flat to me and I'm not,
Well,
it's not entirely clear what it really would look like from the street.
Well, if you look at there's a picture from the street. What you see from the street is very much, you won't, I mean, if you're walking on the street, that's your view. You will hardly see that in the rear.
So you're saying that if I'm looking at the house straight on, I'm not going to see that roof line or in those?
You will
windows, or-
see it from the distance, but that's kind of a 3D view of the front.
Is that a hill? Is there like a?
I mean,
I think it's worth showing the side profiles as well. I mean, as
Yeah,
of the house.
yeah.
Currently or the?
No, sorry, just the building elevations. That's the back. Yes,
But
that,
the-
yeah. Yeah, just make sure we're looking at that, understanding that.
yeah, and also the, scroll up a little bit, I'm sorry. The, maybe one more. Yes, so that, I recognize those are our existing windows, but it does feel a little awkward, the placement of all the windows. I'm, again.
That's what
not sure
we
what the
we
answer
added the
is, but-
Juliet balconies in order to kind of to juxtapose this because they don't, we try not to do any work downstairs.
Right, right.
And
I'm not sure, it just feels a little off kilter to me.
I mean, you've got a bathroom window, which is just off from that
Yeah.
door. It could be centered. Those could be centered, right? You've got the balcony window, which is, again, it's probably like 6-8 inches off from the window that's below it, where they could have a little.
I mean,
more
we
of a
can, I mean,
relationship.
the only item I can see that we can align we can shift the bathroom window to align with the door downstairs. The other items is kind of without doing work downstairs, it's kind of hard to.
Right, well, I mean, I would imagine you have some leeway to move the terrace doors upstairs, right, left or right, a few inches.
I mean, like I said, when we align the door, the bathroom door with the door downstairs, the bathroom window with the door downstairs, and we can shift the door over the window downstairs. I cannot do work downstairs, so.
No, I'm not suggesting
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm saying just with what you're adding, putting,
Yeah.
placing it in relationship to what's downstairs.
So you, the one on the right side of the house, to align that, the edge of that window with the existing. window, is what
Right.
exactly
That was
you're
one of the, yeah, it was one of my
Yeah.
comments.
saying.
Yeah.
So it is,
Is it?
yeah, the balcony is coming out.
Right, but the opening seems to be off.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like. it
If
could shift,
that's
but-
one of those, if we align with the window downstairs, then it will kind of not be symmetrical with the other door upstairs.
But
We can do that.
The other window.
Yeah.
over, you know, some bolts so that.
Yeah,
it's
just-
not-
Yeah, that's, I don't have, we can,
We're looking at the BAR, for just the stormer, basically though, or is there changes to the rear?
Well, this
That is
this
the
entire,
rear.
so the existing, it's going from, can we zoom out so we can see the overall effect of the change?
Right, so this is it.
This is the proposed.
Top.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
wouldn't
Oh,
even call
yes.
this a dormer. I'd call
Okay.
this a full addition.
Mhm.
I see.
And actually,
Thank you.
oh, I'm sorry, Eric,
No.
what happens to the roof there? The existing roof, that
it's
is
gone.
completely gone.
Yes,
And-
that's what,
and-
like Seth said, it's an addition, it's not a
Yeah.
dormer.
Right, but does the, okay, all right, I think.
Going to the side image is
Yeah.
the best one, because that
Yeah.
shows
Yeah.
what the dotted line of the old roof line.
Yeah.
So
So basically, they had a room right now that is storage and they wanted to be able to utilize that for the two kids, and then that works with the two bedrooms and a bathroom in the middle. And I mean, we can make that a condition. I mean, we will align the doors with the downstairs, shift them so they're aligned.
I mean, the window in the center.
The window with the door, and we can shift the door over to align with that window.
So balcony doors.
Yeah,
So then you
Oh,
have to shift the
those
other ones. so
yes,
it's-
yep,
They're symmetrical.
yes.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I don't want to kind of dwell too much. I mean, I think there's, I think the fenestration being neatened up would be helpful. I don't know, maybe can we even just look at an aerial photo just to kind of see, who looks back on this. The side elevations, I think, are also a little kind of different from the style of the rest of the house. It's kind of,
It's like a bungalow craftsman house.
yeah, it's a lovely house.
It is a lovely house, and when I see houses like this added on to, typically they do dormers, left and
Yes,
right dormers.
we did
to
it
get the
for
height.
the idea of.
You can't get the same ceiling height, but then you don't have a partial story hanging over on the front side that's visible from the street. which I think
We started with the dormer,
looks-
yeah.
It's not a historic district or anything, but I think it's not the most attractive way to do it. I understand that doesn't really, a budget is what drives projects a lot, but it is a very nice house to begin with.
I guess, yeah, I mean, that was my initial reaction, and
If you can
kind of
do
going up to the 11 feet to get the clears. I mean, that's a really high ceiling, which is great, but I'm questioning what that's doing to the house and how that's going to look next to the neighbors, which I think are similar
Mhm.
houses. That was kind of my gut reaction, which I was trying to kind of work towards or articulate.
if you do the street view, yeah.
There may not be a street view here. There's.
No, there should be. No, you just.
That was it.
Isn't
Yeah, you were there. It's behind that hedge there.
Yeah.
So. I mean, that actually, from this view, that shows you that clear story will be quite visible
Mhm.
from the center of the street.
But it's not in the front, like, it's not a flat surface.
No, but it's gonna be extended above the ridge line, which is quite visible. I'll put this, I'm curious how other board members feel about that. It may just be my own issue, and I realize that our job is to really evaluate this through a relatively narrow lens of a kind of appropriateness and kind of, how this will kind of impact the neighbors. So it's a similarity to similarity. Right.
It's
Like a-
what else would you do?
Yeah,
It's not.
It's eclectic, but there's a lot of,
this.
there's craftsmen, there's.
See the house, I mean, they've all been. Like I said, I do understand the point because we did study with the dormer. And that was the, original idea. To have it just a dormer. And then as the need of the client has evolved and you want to make sure they can fit the 2 bedrooms upstairs.
We just look at the other side of the street while we're standing here. Yeah. It is very eclectic. The house next door is 1960s.
Tudor style.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's a helpful exercise to look at this.
Salt box.
The built rancher next door. Okay, so kind of other board comments on this and this,
Yes.
all right, can we open a public hearing on this?
Eric Talbot, I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Michael Aronson, second.
All right, is there anybody in the room here to speak to this application? Don't see anybody. Everybody on Zoom, you can use the hand raise function. I hope I'm speaking loud enough to be heard here. And I don't see any hands. So before I close the public hearing, I know that we've talked, sorry, so I've kind of pointed out kind of some of the, I would refer to it as unique massing in the back of the building. I think the question is whether or not that was of concern. It sounds like looking at the neighborhood, there are enough buildings of different styles that this won't stand out as being non-craftsman. It's not a neighborhood of craftsmen. I think that I maybe have a higher comfort level with that looking at this now. Just want to make sure, are there any other kind of questions or concerns with the boards? And we talked about the fenestration, and the potential condition of ensuring that the fenestration is aligned. We can spell that out more specifically when we get to a resolution. Anyone on the board have any other kind of thoughts that are critical before we leave a public hearing?
I think we covered it.
Okay, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to close the public hearing.
Are there any objections? No objections. Sorry, my bad. Russian. Angelica seconded. Are there any objections? I don't see any. Motion carries. It's been a very long day. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's okay. The public hearing is closed. So I think if we're moving towards a resolution on this is what it sounds like. I think the condition that was spelled out was that the new bathroom window would be centered with the ground floor door, and that the I guess we'll just use just the left turns left and right. So the right I guess second floor terrace door would align the right jamb of the right terrace door would align with the right jamb of the downstairs window. And that if there's symmetries that result from that those would also be included.
Right jam of the,
Right upstairs window or second floor window would align with the right jam of the downstairs. I don't know what room that is. Maybe that would be helpful.
Bedroom.
Do we want to say if the left?
Bedroom number 2.
Bedroom number 2. It would align with the right jam of bedroom number 2.
and possibly if needed for symmetry purposes.
Yes.
Move the upper left.
The corresponding left, yeah. Door.
Well, so, and then, because I think then when you start getting to, and then if, then it's
I don't,
probably
that's not
better,
an
right?
I would say,
It has.
it would be, yeah.
Right. So then we're moving the upper. So the upper left, would it be the upper left
Upper
jam
left
then?
door would be moved symmetrically to the right. Symmetrically with.
We
regard
will
to the right.
maintain the symmetry.
Symmetry will be maintained by shifting the left. Window, leftward. Equal amount. I don't know.
Well said.
All right, with that, with those conditions, as Valerie is furiously writing them down, we have a motion to approve the application.
Michael Aronson, motion to approve the application with the conditions as stated.
Greg Robach, second motion.
And we will do a roll call.
Okay, Eric Calvin,
Aye.
Michael Aronson,
Aye.
Fred Burback, aye, Jill Yes, aye, and Gary White.
All right, very good. And I will remind you that pending, the resolution needs to be executed and submitted before you can. All right.
Yeah.
I'm remembering. All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
I think you're staying here for a reason.
Oh,
We're gonna get to the wardrobe change going here. All right. So next up on the agenda, this is Planning Board 08/2024, BAR 16/2024. This is 59 to 61 Central Avenue. And this is the a site plan proposal for converting a car wash into a laundromat, and also BAR approval for changes to the front facade for the same reason. So JB, you can maybe walk us through the project, maybe kind of start with the site plan. We'll kind of go through
Yep.
the BAR and kind of let us know what's going on.
okay, so if we move into, this is 5961 Central Avenue. Is right now the project is being used as a car wash, Gita's Car Wash. So on the next sheet, this shows the location. Also, if you zoom in at the top, it shows a little bit of the breakdown of the, it's a mixed-use building. There are different components. There is the car wash, there is a retail store, there is some office and some warehouse at the rear. As we move forward to the next sheet. So we are, the idea is to, when we convert this into a laundromat, the idea that we discussed with the client was to make sure that this was an area that said it was going to be used by people in the neighborhood, that there was an area in the back, or create an area where there would have been kids or homework, or the people can gather what they do in the laundry. The total is about 36 machines. 36 machines. And we also have vending machines at the rear and at the front to be used by the customers. And we are adding a handicap bathroom at the rear. And as per the exterior, as you move to the next page, right now, there is like a void in the entrance where the entrance to the car wash. We're occupying that with a new sign for the laundromat and a door. So now for this, we had to go and receive a certificate for appropriateness, which we did. Thank you. So not much is being proposed in the exterior. It's just, maintaining the same brickwork. And like I said,
It's
we have-
just the storefront, the
Yes.
fill where the car wash door double, doors were provided for.
The two doors and window on the right, that used to be like a hair salon. Is that part of the project or? is that
No,
separate?
that stays, yes.
Oh.
No, the same owner stays, it's the same,
It's gonna
yeah,
stay
same
for that
tenant.
use.
Yes.
So that's not.
So one door brings you to the two apartments upstairs and the other door brings you to the hair salon.
I see, okay.
That answered my other question, is what's upstairs?
Yeah.
Okay.
And is that
Mm.
the sign that we see that says laundromat, is that actually the sign?
There will be a different name, just for
Well, in
laundromat.
terms
Yeah,
of maybe the size or the way it's represented, you know,
yes, that's the idea too.
not lit up,
No.
doesn't fit in the historic.
Okay, can we go back into the site plan? And I do want to kind of ask both Valerie and Tony, just kind of like, go through any comments that they've had. I know they both looked at this. Tony, you.
Yeah, I think, we both have the same issue.
Similar stuff.
It's very confusing with the calendar, the market calculation and how it's broken up. Existing uses, there's other uses of buildings there. So I know you provided a key map, but it's still not adding up and I think it's up to the parking calculation taking account of existing uses as well. And my only other real big concern is the 3 parking spaces you have shown. It's pretty steep and usually for code, you don't want a parking lot more than 5%.
Steve?
Yeah, the where you have the 3 spaces, it just appears to be steep. We asked for maybe contour we put on there to see how steep that is. to be
Okay.
parked.
I think there is
I look from the street view, it looks like it's, there's one of those cars that's kind of.
Yeah, and the other thing with that parking, it's not really clear, like, who's gonna be utilizing that parking? Is it for, like, anybody in the whole entire building, or if it's gonna be dedicated to certain uses?
okay, that we can
Yeah, I think just
Yeah.
maybe even color code or just kind of, like I said, I was adding the numbers up and I couldn't get to that.
okay. I guess yeah, the whole street is
Yeah, the whole street.
now I can see it.
It doesn't look so bad on the top end, but I think lower down the street, of course, that's really steep.
Right, that spot in the corner down there, near
it's-
the curb cut.
Usually, per code, not no more than 5% parking area.
But even if it's, we're not proposing part, I mean, even if it's existing,
But it's not really a parking lot now. I think you're kind of
Yeah.
proposing it to be a parking lot. It looks more like a driveway.
So it's not the parking on the other side of the.
No.
Yeah,
okay,
Is that, I guess, based on the property lines you're showing, those garage doors in the back, those are part of a different property, or that's? part
no,
of
the
same?
same, it's a
Same property,
warehouse.
right, and that's why we were raising, like, how are those 3 spaces really gonna be utilized?
Okay,
Right,
Just one will be blocked.
Right, it almost seems like it's a driveway for the existing buildings as opposed to parking.
yeah, and so what are those, I mean, what are those garage doors? What's behind them? What is,
believe it's a warehouse, but I mean,
sorry, is that shown in the plans?
we have it listed as a warehouse. And she has a plumbing business, so that's the existing business.
Okay. So that, okay, I guess I didn't quite realize that that's all part of one kind of
Yes,
funky shaped structure.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that affects the request of the way how it's.
Right.
Right. It seems like based on how this is being used, there would be a requirement for more than 3 spots.
Yeah, you could take into account, the existing residents upstairs. There's the warehouse, how many spaces does that require?
Right. Yeah, it seems like an important question to resolve as part of this review.
and what are the hours of operation of the?
I will provide you that as well, I thought we did provide. I'm not sure if the client has. Yeah. But we will find out that.
Okay, yeah, that would be important to have as part of the site plan. And the trash removal, I mean, it was part of the site. How is that dealt with here?
I believe that like every other project, it will have to be private, right?
Yeah, I just don't know where it's stored or removed as part of that site plan, different use. I don't know how that'll compare to the current use.
Is there an existing dumpster on this?
I believe not. I will have to. So,
Are they?
I'm not-
Yeah,
Oh, there
maybe
is,
that
yeah.
looks like,
Hard to say.
Privacy fence right there.
I think you have space.
some sort of a storage, yeah, trash storage or trash collection area there.
And I'm sorry, one more question. I don't think I saw. Is there exterior lighting or?
We're not
Anything that
proposing, right now, we're
illuminates-
not proposing any exterior lighting.
Okay. Are there any other board questions before we go to a public hearing?
Well, we are for the long, the jar, we natural gas, like will that require an end to the increase? What's provided to the state?
I believe it's gonna be gas, but again, since my client is a plumber, hope he has that resolved.
What currently, it's not a drive through, it's a and house.
Yeah,
So there's no changes.
no,
All right. We have a motion to open the public hearing.
Michael Aronson, motion to open a public hearing.
Brenda Brown, second motion.
Any objections? Objections? We are in a public hearing. Is there anybody from the public in the room to speak to this application? Do not see anybody. If there's anybody on Zoom who wants to speak to this application, you can use the hand raise function. And I do not see anybody raising their hand on Zoom. So I think at this point, there's a handful of things that you just need to look into, so we can kind of iron out, those items and we'll.
if this, I think it was referred to the county, right? Or it needs to be referred to the county, no,
No, it does not.
all right,
Um,
and we don't need to declare lead agency, nothing like that.
I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it did. I mean, it was, and we already sent it. So,
Yes,
But there's no lead agency.
No, it's a type
Declaration.
2 act.
It's a type 2.
so
Okay.
for the next meeting, we have this answer, and hopefully the county then.
If we
We'll have the-
these open items
Yep.
resolved,
Yep.
there's potential, but we obviously would have to see and evaluate at that point.
Okay.
All right, can I, so first of all, a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Eric Talbot, I make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Any objections? Objections, that motion carries. And if that's everything, can I have a motion to adjourn the application for this evening.
Go ahead, Eric.
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to adjourn the application.
Michael Aronson, second.
Any objections? No objections, it's adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. We're gonna keep going here. Next item on the agenda is item E. Planning Board 09/2024. This is 4 and 8 Liberty Street, and this is a lot line adjustment request between two properties. Just as a note, this was previously approved in 2022, but since then it has been expired. So we will bring the applicant up.
Oh, thank you for hearing me. We put this application before the board 2 years. Oh, I'm sorry, Scott Kamen for Liberty Street. And the owner for the adjustment, Doug Tershon, is 8 Liberty Street, is on Zoom. We submitted this application for a minor property line adjustment back in 2022. It was unanimously approved. This is just to clear an easement that's been on the property historically, but it's no longer in use, hasn't been used for 50 years. But we failed to submit it to the county for the maps to be revised and the tax assessor maps to be revised. So when we did that, we found out that the approval had expired. So we are requesting I guess a renewal of that approval so that we can go to the county.
All right, can we put the plat up? maybe the plans. Yes, there we go. We can just maybe quickly outline what's changing so that all the board members who may not have been here the last time this came before us.
Okay, the dark and hatched line roughly in the middle of the two houses is the proposed property line that's moving over 3 feet to remove the easement and grant a wider driveway to 4 Liberty, my property. Until then, the property line straddled the easement. Is that clear?
Yeah, I'm just trying to,
You want me to?
yeah,
point?
yeah, I think we can just. So that's the proposed new line, and that was that little jog.
That's gonna be.
So it's just on that portion of the lot where that,
Yeah, so I can't really see it from there. We're moving it 3 feet to the east. The property line. You can see it's a new access easement for lot. I can't read that.
Lot 1.
Yeah,
got it.
you want me to go, can I go up there and point to it?
Yeah,
I think I.
yeah, I think that'd be helpful.
That's- So the property line is the dark blue line,
That's the property line today.
right, and we're moving it over to the new line over here.
To the dash double dot, to the,
To the purple. Where it says new.
Right.
okay,
And in real life, that's just the driveway essentially.
It is the
End of
driveway.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no physical change to the property.
So there's still going to be an easement for lot 1?
No, there's, well,
It's
the
an
remaining,
access
the
easement.
remaining easement is the curb cut. Both cars can enter the property. My neighbor at 8 can go to the left.
Oh,
If
so
you
that's
flip-
a driveway as well?
It's one driveway
Oh,
and
one
he can go to the left, he can go to the, if you flip the drawing upside down, in this drawing, he would go to the right, I would go to the left.
Okay.
And then he'd be on his property exclusively, no easement, and I'd be on my property 100% no easement after that curb cut. So the remaining easement is the curb cut
Okay,
at the top of the drawing.
that's all.
So there'd be one driveway.
So this isn't showing the new curb cut, that's something you have to go.
The curb cut remains the same. We're leaving that alone.
I thought you said you were getting-
No. One day perhaps, but not now.
got it. All right, I mean, this is pretty
So
straightforward.
your
Yeah.
neighbor is effectively granting you 3 feet of property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely.
And for that, you're providing a new access easement that will
Right.
guarantee
You're
his
right.
ability to
Um,
access his property, the driveway to reach his property.
That's right.
Okay.
That's correct. Which was all, so basically the easement is becoming closer to the street. So he can turn a car onto his property and I can go straight. I could actually show you
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So, sorry for the reach. Car comes on the property, if it's for 8 Liberty, he makes a turn this way. And I go straight.
Okay.
But right now, the way it's divided, there's an easement for 2 cars for both properties to be on that driveway. So we're
Okay.
separating the driveways.
I see.
How wide is it's a double wide driveway, is that?
No,
No.
it's I wish, but it's actually about 10.5 feet.
Okay, I see that much straight up there.
No, it's still
that-
tandem.
Google Map.
Google Map, yeah, maybe just let's show
Yeah,
a
that
quick
would be
Google map.
wonderful.
and
There's
then-
a lot of trees there, so it is kind of hard to see.
Yeah, is there a street, maybe even a street view, to be
Yeah.
quite honest.
That's it. Yeah. Speed a little bit. Okay, now take a look at, there it is. So that the driveway is a little different right now, but basically there's an easement right up the center line of that car.
Okay.
So that would be gone, except for about where the car is parked. You'd be able to come off the property and turn left onto what is now lawn, but that property is not using it for parking, but it could, and I would just continue straight.
Got it. So there is no, when you talk about that left turn, that's where the tree and the hedge is.
Right, he'd go beyond and make it,
Oh, so there's some paved area that he,
not yet.
oh, I
Not
see.
yet. Because he owns the other house on the block, which is where he's utilizing parking.
And right now the property line's in the middle of that car
More or
driveway.
less,
Yeah.
So, okay, and the easement is the full length of that driveway at this point in time? I mean, the full width,
Yes,
the full width of the driveway at this?
Yes, up to where an historic lot. This is
Okay.
actually a really old photo. Can you want to advance? If you look at it the way it is now, I think it'd be a lot more clear. You could,
2013 is the only other photo. It's even older.
all right, well, it's,
Okay.
the idea
I
is.
think
there.
it gives the
Yeah.
sense. I think this is pretty clear.
Yeah, so the new access agreement is just changing because the bounds, the meets and bounds are changing for the property, but it's going to basically provide the same access that it provided before. It's the whole width of the driveway. How far does the easement go back?
Nothing changes, well, full length.
I
full
think,
length.
right, I think because this was already approved once, all of the legal stuff was already worked out.
yeah,
No, I'm just saying, just in terms of. This
So
is basically, they're asking
just
for the
need to
same
remove-
exact. Right.
There's a lot of.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So, no, I appreciate that, what you.
Well, I mean, like, the questions you're asking are absolutely, right, they're absolutely relevant if this was like a new application and none of that has been,
Okay.
right, so
Well,
I'm just
no need to
letting
drag
the
it out.
board know that.
No,
you know.
it's helpful. That's good to know that that's all
Thank you.
there. Okay, so for a subdivision, for a lot line change, does this require a public hearing? Was this noticed?
Yes, it
This
was.
was noticed. Okay, so can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Eric Talbot, I make a motion to open the public hearing.
Michael Aronson, second.
All right, is there anybody here from the public to speak to this application? I don't see anybody in the room. If there's anybody on Zoom. I do see I guess the co-applicant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's all okay with me.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Again.
Good. All right, thanks. And I don't see anybody else. I don't see any other hands raised. Can I have a motion from the board to close the public hearing?
Eric Talbot, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Any objections? No objections. That motion carries. We've Karen, we've asked all the questions we need to on this. We're good, Valerie. Okay. Can I have a motion from the board to approve the application, the lot line adjustment?
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to approve the application for the lot line adjustment. Excuse me.
Michael Aronson, second.
And we'll do a roll call, sorry.
Eric Talbot,
Aye.
Michael Aronson.
Aye.
Elizabeth Gaines. Hi. Brenda Burback. Hi. Chair White.
Very much. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
See you. All right, next up on the agenda, we have Planning Board 10-2024 and BAR 18-2024, and this is for 50 North Highland Avenue. And this is the applicant is seeking a site plan and BAR approvals related to facade renovations and conversion from a former bakery building into an adult use dispensary. So I guess we will bring the applicant up. Let's get the, sorry. So we'll get the drawings. Yep. You're okay?
We're good.
Okay. All right, so we'll get the drawings up and I'll let the applicant introduce themselves and let us know, describe the project. That'd be great.
Terrific. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. And members of the board and staff. Brad Schwartz from the law firm of Zarin and Steinmetz, representing the applicant, Best Buds 14 LLC, also known as Lucky Leaf. Our client is the contract vendee for the former bakery site along North Highland Avenue. With me tonight is Mohit Sood, on behalf of the applicant. JB Hernandez, project architect, Carlito Holt from DTS Provident, the traffic and parking consultant, as well as Brittany Melville. She's behind me over here. Brittany is a cannabis consultant. She helps cannabis dispensaries plan and open their operations. She's a wealth of knowledge. We're lucky to have her on our team. And any questions about the operation of the business can be directed toward Brittany later in the presentation. So, Mr. Chairman, as you mentioned, we're here for a dispensary site plan application to adaptively reuse the former bakery site. We're excited to return the vacant property to productive and active use. Our client already has a cannabis license from New York State, so he's ready to go. A couple of points I want to emphasize right up front. There would be no consumption on site. This is strictly a dispensary. All products would be prepackaged and sold for consumption off-site. Obviously, all sales would be to folks over the age of 21. There is no curbside pickup, and the parking, which I know I'm sure will be an important topic for the board, there will be an increase in parking from the mere 6 spaces that existed for the bakery to 16 spaces altogether for this project. And JB will walk you board through the plan to show you how we would achieve that. So I'll turn the presentation over to JB, then Carlito for traffic and parking, and then Brittany for any operational questions.
Thank you.
Hello.
Welcome back.
If we go to S100, so like Brad said, this is the old bakery. What we're showing here is the existing site where we are. There was the main building, which was the bakery, and then there were some smaller buildings in the adjacent property, in the adjacent area. Those we are proposing to remove, and in order to increase the parking area. If you go back a little, I just want to point out that the bakery was functioning with basically no more than 6 parking spaces. We're not proposing any work on the curb cuts. Everything is going to remain as it is as part of DOT and work in there right away. If you go over, what we have done in order to increase the ability to have provide more parking spaces on site, we are kind of removing the rear portion of the bakery, and we are keeping approximately 1,600 square feet of retail in the front. The second floor remains the full size, and then if you go to A101, or I'm sorry, A103. Keep going down. So this is what's going to be remaining of the downstairs in order to facilitate the parking. So there will be an entrance on the rear. There will be the retail area in the front. And we'll have, as of now, we have 2 points of access. In the rear, that part cover is going to be the additional parking spaces. And then on the next sheet, we move on to the next sheet, we can show the upstairs, which will be most used for office space and employees area, the break room, the employee lounge. And then there is an area in the back that's going to be storage, but it's going to be non-secure storage, like furniture and things like that, furnitures, paper, any supplies that do not require to be secure. And if we move on to the elevations, and this is, we're presenting the project right now. We will be back with color renderings and full selection of materials. But we wanted to show you that we have removed the part of the building that's being removed, and then in following the next. So then we have started dealing with different materials, stucco, aluminum panels, and some sort of covering that's going to go across the entrance. And we are showing the general area where the sign will be. The sign will be defined, but we have 34 square feet of linear feet of frontage, so the sign is within the square footage. So that whole dark area will be part of the sign. If we go back to this, sorry.
The sign, we don't expect there to be any images, there'll just be text.
Yes.
So it's not gonna be a leak.
Then, we received the comment from the consultants and there were, most of the items there's no issues with, having those addressed by the next meeting. Sorry, Maddie, if we go back to the S1. Just want to point out,
Sorry,
Yeah,
before
before we
you go,
go.
I
Oh.
think, just a real quick question, looking at the left side elevation, what is all that white space?
that's going to be we will show that's where the parking is going to be.
Oh.
There's parking underneath. We will show cars and people so you can have a better understanding of that.
So that's the existing, the building is not existing.
We will be removing part of that building to accommodate.
Yeah, so it's a two-story structure now.
And you're gonna remove the lower
Yes,
portion to park.
yes,
It's already an open space, like it's, if the house next door is removed, it's an open space.
Oh, okay.
And well, and that was the other question, is to try to picture it, but with the garage door there, what's behind the garage door now and what's
if we go back to the
programmatically-
plan, that's gonna be for deliveries. Right there, we're gonna keep the garage door. That's gonna be for deliveries.
um,
In the S100, which is going to point out that we did add a green area to maintain the 2 feet away from the property line with the asphalt. That will be dimension, is not dimension shown. We did add a 6-foot retaining wall on the rear, which will provide all the details for it. And we will add landscaping as necessary as well.
I think it might be useful right now, because I know there's some comments, Valerie from your office, Tony from yours. I don't know if there's any particular order there, but maybe Valerie.
Sure. So I think we had I think we talked, JB, you mentioned a few of our comments dealing with lighting. Additional information like loading areas, curbside pickup, just because we want to make sure when this opens and it operates, that it operates without, problems. So how are you gonna load and unload? How often is that going to take place? And then pickup and curbside services, will there be any, or is there going to be dedicated parking? Also, like the parking lot, again, can you look at your calculations? Because while you mentioned that there would be some office use on the second floor, but the plans say storage, so really we need to understand like what's going on the second floor, and then in terms of your parking calculations. And also the dimensions of the parking space, a couple of them seem undersized.
Yes. The loading area, there will be smaller vehicles. It will be done in the delivery area. There's no
Enclosed in
curbside
the
pick-
garage.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
Enclosed.
yes,
It's
enclosed. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said you closed in the garage.
yeah, no.
There will be no curbside pickup. And that it will be an, area dedicated in the back for pickup. If you go to,
So I don't.
if you zoom in on,
The delivery is still close to the garage. This is your area, you're loading it.
yes, right? Yep.
That's just for deliveries when you're getting product.
Yeah,
When
Yeah.
delivers to basically the customers rather. Different.
Yeah, no, I mean, when you have like a bulk. of-
Yes.
You'll.
Yes.
use it And it'll be
Yes, we have to have our
secure during
security
the
guard.
delivery.
And I just have a question, so is this some facilities you have to make an appointment to come. Is this to walk in off the street? and
Yeah,
buy
this
soda?
is a walk-in facility.
Okay, so it's not a,
Yeah, yeah, you should be able to walk in. There's gonna be a security guard at the front and security guard inside, so for security purposes.
When do product deliveries typically occur? Is it during business hours, before or after?
Yeah, so I've been talking to a number of cultivators, processors, manufacturers, and we're gonna have it outside. They're gonna be delivering outside of our operating hours. I've ensured, I've already talked to a number of folks because we don't want to interrupt during the day when there's people there. And so even though it's gonna be when our security guards are there, but before, they're gonna be there half an hour before we open and half an hour after we close.
Okay.
While the employees.
And then just my second question is, how is cannabis related waste disposed of? Is it on site? Someone come pick
So
it up?
what type of waste are you referring to? We're not a cultivator, manufacturer, or anything. We're not gonna have really any waste.
Expired products, for example?
So expired products are gonna be going back to the manufacturers.
Okay.
We're not allowed to reuse them because everything has to be, you have to actually have inventory of everything. It's just as regulated as, I'm a pharmacist as well, I'm in the pharmacy space. And it's probably more regulated than even the pharmacy space when you're dealing with narcotics.
So no dumpster diving?
No, absolutely not. I didn't mean so. Any other questions or?
No, they may come up, but that was helpful. No, in your part of the team and you're happy to jump in, happy for you to jump in and answer questions like that.
I think Tony had some,
I have,
Tony, yes,
not mine, a lot of engineering items. I'll just try to get through them quick.
Please.
Grading,
Yep.
all the parking lot grading, utilities, if you're gonna have any proposed utilities existing, show those, details for everything you're proposing. One thing I brought up was the lot merger, because one of the lots has a building on it now, and it's being removed, and that was just parking, so I think, right, you have to get rid of the property line.
So that's something that I'm gonna continue discussing with the board's council. My understanding is there are currently 2 tax lots, so I'll discuss with council.
We're working on it, yeah.
the-
Okay, yeah. I just
the
brought up
merger
this
question.
thing, ADA signage. There is a provision in the code of 2 feet off of a property line for asphalt. I don't know, it looks like you're trying to get it with that
Yes.
green, just to mention it, so I can confirm that. Now I noticed that your driveway is gonna be 24 feet, but the curb cut looks a little small.
It is. We keep in the existing curb cut.
So you're gonna have people coming in and out of the smaller curb cut.
Yes.
You maybe to mention that on the plan, I'd like to see
Okay.
kind of how wide that is. That
Okay.
might create a bottleneck there. Erosion controls,
Mhm.
I know you're not increasing the impervious surface, you're probably removing a bit. But we want to see how the stormwater is going to be collected and conveyed to the system in the street. And again, that if you have to tie into the system in the street, that's going to require you to go to DOT as well. Because you're creating this bigger asphalt parking area that's now going to all flow onto the street. And lighting, which I believe was brought up. And those are the big items, There's a lot of little corrections, this and that. That's it.
And we've had a chance obviously to review all the comments and we agree, all the comments, and we know we gotta provide the information. We'll do that for the next meeting. Would the board like to hear a brief summary from Polito on parking and traffic tonight? or-
yeah, no, I would absolutely.
oh,
would.
and that reminds me, before, do we want to have the, Tony's traffic engineer review the traffic?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just kind of in terms of understanding the intensity, potential intensity of use here and what those impacts are, I think having that review of the traffic statement would be
Yeah,
helpful for.
I reached out, but he gave me a proposal today, so I'll share that.
Okay,
To you.
okay. And yeah, no, absolutely, we would like to hear that
Terrific, Polito, you're up.
presentation as well.
Good evening, everyone. Carlito Holt, partner with ETS Provident. So we prepared a traffic and parking study summarized in our June 27th letter. What we looked at from a traffic standpoint was a comparison of the existing, previously existing bakery use to the proposed cannabis use. And we utilized Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation data. So the bakery use, based upon the most closely related land use in ITE was generating substantially more than what the dispensary use would generate. So I think from what you've seen historically, out in that area between the bakery use to what the cannabis use would generate, it's going to be a nominal change or a reduction in traffic in trips. From a parking standpoint, based upon the parking requirements, it is zoning compliant by 2 additional spaces, correct? And so again, we looked at the ITE rates for the parking generation. There's data published for that as well. And what we found when you compare what the peak parking demand could be for the bakery use from the ITE data to the amount of parking that it was providing versus what the proposed dispensary use could generate based upon ITE rates to what the proposed use is going to provide, there's a potential of only 2 on-street parking spaces needed, as opposed to potentially 23 with the previous bakery use. So you're actually going to have a significant reduction in on-street parking impacts with the conversion of the use.
Can I ask the question, the parking for the previous bakery, was that those numbers were from actual observation? Because
It's from a so the Institute of Transportation Engineers publishes a manual called the Parking Generation Manual. And then they survey existing types of land uses. So the closest use that's comparable to the existing bakery use was like a donut shop with coffee. So that data is based upon surveys that they've conducted nationally.
Right, because this bakery was really sleepy. I mean, I don't think it had very much
It used to be jumping. I love it. I grew up in Croton. I love the jelly donuts.
popular, but I never saw it being like crowded or.
Like a Dunkin' Donuts, which might be the. coffee.
Right,
Right.
right. So I just.
Yeah, I think it's not exactly the most comparable use, but I think that's the closest use that IT has data on. So even if you took half of that, you're still going to have more of an on-street parking impact when considering the bakery use versus the proposed use.
And I imagine that peak parking demand was based on the square footage of the entire, the totality of the spaces. And now you're part of this is that you're downsizing. This is a comment related to your presentation, but also just the storage, that very large storage area in the back.
Yeah, so we didn't put that storage space in the calculation. We went
based on
like the proposed footprint.
Okay.
So we use that same square footage in both counts.
So that would be an apples to apples.
There are standard numbers for dispensaries data.
Yeah. Well, not like that specific type of bakery use, unfortunately. Yeah.
What about opening? I mean, was that looked at in terms of increased demand when the place first opens?
So I think that's been discussed operationally and I think just in general, as the marketplace saturates, right? There's 2 dispensaries that opened in White Plains. I think you're not going to see those surges that you've heard about in some of the Jersey and Connecticut dispensaries because those are people from New York going there, right? But I think they're going to try and maximize the online ordering so that they can get people in and out quicker, turn over the spaces. But I think what we don't want to do is put in, 5 or 6 additional parking spaces that then are going to remain unused for the next 20 years and have additional impervious coverage.
I don't know that I'm necessarily making a comment about a permanent change to the site plan, but just that this may be more of an operational question than a question regarding site plan, the traffic study. But it's relative to the traffic study in terms of understanding what you may want to expect, when the space opens and for how long you may want to expect that and what other controls, not necessarily site plan, but other operational controls may be put in place to help.
Right.
We expect a short-term temporary bump when it opens. We understand the comment and we're talking about those kind of operational parameters. Maybe we'll come back next meeting and propose something for property.
Thank you. Other board questions?
I guess in connection with like the third question and the Jimmy traffic, like, is it that study needed or something like that? Or
Well, what we can do in our next submission is give you like the vehicle turning templates. So you can see how 2-way traffic would operate coming in and out of the driveway. We can actually lay passing like a typical passenger vehicle side by side. So you can see that.
We actually put that, I'm just trying to picture that because honestly, every time I ever went to the bakery, I parked on the road.
Yeah.
Um,
What do you-
No, even just the site plan, just. in
See
terms
additional
of-
on-street parking
So is there a left turn out of that driveway? Can you turn?
There's no
south on-
turn restrictions right now.
There's no turn, so you can turn, I mean, I don't know how you could physically do
There
it.
should be.
Because you're also quite close to the light there, right? And how far are you from the intersection with Croton Avenue?
Probably
Uh,
about 200
I don't know,
yards.
it's
Yeah, it's very difficult to make all
About
that.
100 feet,
Yeah, like, yeah, near impossible.
I would think it would be.
But there isn't like an actual restriction to keep someone from trying, right?
No,
No.
not right now, there isn't.
I feel like you can make it.
But that's, I mean, that's an important comment. I mean,
Yeah,
because I think it,
people will try.
the parking lot, because, but that's a big change to this parking lot, right? Is that before it was a handful of spots, now it's proposed to be a real parking lot. And kind of coming in and coming out needs to be done carefully. So that's, I think, a really important comment. Is that something that you guys have looked at in terms of entrance and exit and the safety of that?
We haven't run like any traditional like level of service analysis, but that's something that we could look at to see, whether, there would be a substantial delay for that left turn trying to get out.
Just confirming, we're also outside of the distance required from Off High School, which is like right up the road from there.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's nice.
just so the board's aware, cannabis licensing is handled at the state level through the Office of Cannabis Management. And when an applicant submits for a license application, they have to provide a variety of information that includes a site plan, which confirms the distance from any sensitive locations set forth in regulations, energy environmental plans, business continuity plans, security plans, so on and so forth. So there has been a level of review for all of this stuff at the state level. So the location's viable with respect to all those kinds of uses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's important. Right. I don't know, before we kind of move on with this, I do want to kind of go back just to some of the drawings and the building elevations, just to make sure, because I want to make sure we're tightening this up and we're giving you as much information as you can, so we can.
Mr. Chairman, you'd also like, Bernie does have some information to share on your question about the operation.
Okay.
short-term surge.
Yeah, I mean, let's handle both of those things. I mean, if Brittany, if you want to come up and present that now, and then I think we'll wrap it maybe with a conversation on the open BAR issues, and then we'll go to public hearing, and then we'll go from there.
So just to be clear, the question was, how are we going to manage the influx of traffic at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, so typically anybody in a cannabis store is in there from about 8 to 12 minutes. At the beginning, obviously it's new and exciting, and they might be hanging out for a little bit longer, which we really have accounted for in terms of our staffing plan, which we'll get to next meeting. But essentially to expedite people through the store, it'll be pretty high touch point. We'll have security at the front as well as a staff member that's secondary IDing and essentially providing education and resources to get people through the door. On top of that, we also have the security guard that's looking outside to see what the traffic is like in the parking lot. So if we are getting pretty full, our staff members will jump on the floor and try and really accelerate the process of building those carts for people. So yes, there are going to be a lot of educational interactive displays. However, if it does get pretty busy, we can really help to facilitate those cart buildings and get them through to cash to make a payment and get out of there. So to kind of summarize, the overall objective is to provide our customers here with a really safe, secure, and like education focused experience when they come into the store. Yeah.
What is your experience? And I mean, I recognize I think it was noted a couple of spaces have opened up in White Plains or are opening up. I think just in northern Westchester and the communities around here, I'm not aware that there are any other similar. Pound Bridge would be yeah. So and I'm asking this in the context of expectations for people kind of in proximal neighborhoods and may not be driving to White Plains when they're like, oh, someplace nothing to just in terms of initially that there's gonna be an expectation for higher traffic, at least in the short term.
Yeah, definitely. And typically in any traditional dispensary, it's not like any other retail. The first year is pretty high traffic. Second year will plateau a little bit. And then as the market continues to saturate, it will dip down. So we have really taken into account for that. Also, there's a learning curve. This still is a brand new industry. So we've taken that into consideration with our staffing model, and we'll have quite a bit of security and staff on at all times. So security will also be there at 24/7 or at the same time staff members will be. So when the staff member enters half an hour to 45 minutes before, security guard will be there to accompany them as well.
You noted, because I think that obviously we're looking at this in the context of planning and kind of people
Yeah.
coming in and cars moving around. That the security, because you noted that security staff would be keeping an eye on traffic and other, so I mean, is that, that would be a designated assignment for that staff, and would that be?
Yes,
Would that interfere with their ability to conduct their?
no, because we'll have two guards on it all one time. One will be at the front and one will be at the back, just doing parking. So it'll kind of be covered. Plus, there'll also be staff members at the front and throughout the retail store as well. And then just to address your question about the curbside pickup, I believe as well. So we typically don't like to do curbside pickup because then it is taking the customer outside our four walls of our business and IDing them outside the store. I always like to have a customer ID'd under a camera physically. However, to expedite people through the store, they can pre-order online through our online menu, and then we ID them when they come into the store to pick it up. Yeah. And then also we will be offering delivery, which typically is up to 20% of your business, which will alleviate the traffic in the store slightly as well.
The question about the bar, I thought they said there was gonna be two doors, one in the back.
So
So you can have a guard at the front door, but not at the back door.
no, we'll have a guard at the front and at the back as well.
So the guard at the back is a monitoring door.
That is correct, I believe.
Parking lot in the back, we're building the space in the back, so the there will be glass there, he'll be able to monitor the parking lot in the back and the front. If there's any issues getting out ingress egress of the parking lot, we have the guard in the front, because we might have to staff somebody there monitoring traffic initially through the parking lot to see, like you said, if there's a lot of traffic, we want to have somebody there making sure it's safe. We're gonna have cameras that's gonna identify just in case there is any issues, but yeah, you're right. We should have somebody out there initially when we think we have an influx of traffic, no question.
Well, similar to Popeyes, we could ask
Yeah.
them to just submit a grand opening plan,
Yeah.
right?
I
for
think that would be
period of time.
helpful.
Definitely.
If we just get some guidelines on that, yeah.
I have one more operational question. It's not really, so in terms of the ID, is that done, for example, if an underage customer comes in, is the ID done the minute you step foot in the property or when you're going to purchase?
Great question. So right at the front, as soon as they step in, our guard will ID them. Then they'll be entered into our system if they choose to be. Then mandatory, we have to ID them again before they make their purchase at the cash register. So they'll be ID'd again by a staff member.
So if somebody's underage, they're
caught right at the
escorted
beginning.
out?
Yeah. They can't come in.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. In addition to that, our guards will be trained, although it isn't a requirement by the state, our guards will be trained to the same caliber of training our staff will, just on the cannabis side of things. So for example, identifying anybody obviously under the age of 21, but also signs of intoxication. We legally cannot serve to customers who are intoxicated in any respect. So obviously this is Mo is liable for this with his license. However, our guards will be trained to the same extent as our employees in terms of cannabis knowledge. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Yeah, JB, I feel like we kind of left that conversation open a little bit too, and I want to make sure that you have instructions, because we love but didn't talk. So maybe just put the elevations up real quick.
8201. Thank you. Next. Okay.
So, I mean, are there any existing finishes that are remaining, or you're really recladding the entire building?
Recladding.
All right, so it's so just a stucco, and you haven't given us a color palette on one side, and a metal paneling that you're proposing on the garage. It would be helpful to develop that side elevation a little bit more
Yes.
clearly. Any trim or terminations, especially around that perimeter. If we actually go to the overhang. Nope.
Top.
There you go. Yeah, because that'll be a pretty prominent elevation coming south under that. So it looks a little helpful to see that.
Architecture, we will work on that.
Yeah,
But just you won't see that coming down south.
I guess not. Yeah, I guess
but it's still, that doesn't mean that.
fair enough. It's relatively.
Would you see that coming? Oh, no.
No,
it's just that the way that.
just the idea was to, again, it's a nice extensive facade, so we're recladding some of the brickwork. And then we were trying to emphasize that corner with some different materials, which is the aluminum panels, and we will provide colors or selections. And also we'll have that canopy, which will help us with the lighting, indirect lighting into the building. So on
Are those existing columns there that you're gonna be exposing? Are those new concrete, like, you know, just
those are gonna
materially
be,
kind of
yeah,
understanding how that whole works? Right
Yep.
now, it's just very schematic, I guess.
And if there is, I mean, maybe it's already on this, the drawings, but the entrance from the parking lot, the second door as opposed to the. I mean,
That
but
is-
everybody
yeah,
has to
that's
come in the
Yeah.
front, is that correct? Or customers can come.
that
in,
will
so-
be, so that we will work on that elevation because, and give you the depth
Yeah.
of, and the importance of that door, the second door.
Right, and how would you as a customer move from the parking in the back to the entrance?
Is there like a side-
sidewalk or-
Yes,
I think the entrance is.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are your
Yeah.
entrance.
Or is it an emergency exit?
No, no, it's an entrance.
So there's two entrances with two guards, one in each door.
yes.
I think plans have security, back security on too. Entrance.
Is there a walkway as?
There is a Renault's stripes area. And that's where the confusion comes with the size of the parking. Because we kind of merged the parking there. Oh. So the idea is we will have,
Is that a-
yeah, we will,
But that's a walkway there, right? There's a paved walkway, that
yes.
island that is paved.
Yes, and we're gonna switch the actual parking space to this side. So then the area we will merge the loading area for the accessible parking space in the actual entrance. So that become wider and more flexible for maneuvering.
Right, but in this image, if you were parked on the side, you could really only go to the front because in order to get to that back entrance, you're either walking through the parking lot or squeezing between cars in the building.
Yes.
I think that was the, that was the
So you
circulation.
wanna-
It'd be helpful to see
okay,
that
you want-
resolved.
It's usually medical spaces too, right? Allocated to medical car vehicle and.
Mhm.
And I think this was discussed before, but that bay that's for deliveries, that's not gonna happen during operational hours. So-
Right.
So pedestrians don't have to worry about somebody
Right,
pulling in,
yeah.
going out.
And I don't know if we got clarity on this, but as far as the business's own delivery service, the delivery to customers, where would that loading and unloading, what kind of vehicles would be used? Where would those vehicles be parked? Would those vehicles be owned by the store?
Yeah, so the delivery, it's gonna be in the back, right? That's gonna be the easiest because that's where our fulfillment center is as well. So we'd be able to come right out from the back entrance. That's one of the entrances. We can say front or back, but it's where we're putting the parking lot underneath, right? Underneath the building.
Mhm.
And so that's where we're gonna have deliveries. We're gonna have a spot for them to hopefully be able to come in, run in and out. And-
So, and is that, are those vehicles owned by your business?
I wasn't planning on it. That's something I have to, talk with my operations specialist about and decide. I mean, that's, I guess a little bit after this, we're gonna decide.
Okay.
But typically, just to avoid congestion, we usually limit it to about like 4 pickups a day and have a little bit of a shorter window than what the operational window is. So that when they're coming, let's call it 4 times a day, they're loading up their vehicle and then going. They're not coming back and forth from the store multiple times. And as Mo said, the pickup for the driver, they'll have a spot allocated right by that back door that does have the security guard there so that the cannabis delivery is safely transported right into the delivery driver's vehicle.
I think it would be helpful to know, if because I mean, if there's parking spots that are required for customers to have that delivery spot be something that, it looks like you have 2 spots
Yes.
in surplus. Potentially, that if something, if that spot was designated, signed off, so that it's kind of clear. Both operationally and in terms of just utility of the space. All right. Other board questions before we go into the public hearing on this?
Did we talk about landscaping?
We haven't shown this.
But there will be some.
Yeah.
And actually, note relative to that, just that there's a building that's being removed, because that's, I think, again, I know there's a lot going on the site. We just get clarity exactly where that is and what's happening where that was.
Yes. That's the red outline.
Okay. Up in the back. So it's actually that building bridges the lot line?
Yes.
It does?
No, not the next door, no.
Okay. No, not the next door, but
Parking lot.
this is two lots, right?
Two tax lots.
Two tax, understood. But the building that's being removed is currently located on both of those tax lots. It's
That is a portion of the building that is, yes.
okay. And that's so what, how is that ground going to be treated when that building is
That
removed?
will be part of the parking.
That's all that's part of the
Yeah,
parking
there's-
area? I feel like we go over, there's a part of it that's
there's some
not.
Graphic. So from the other, on the right direction, yes, keep going. The graphically we show there, that's what the bluish color is the area that we created the previous area. And then you see there is the size of the building.
Can we go over to just to the overall site plan? The hill going up behind the building, where the lot extends back to,
Yes.
all the way back, to that diagonal line at the
There's no
top.
work.
And currently, is there there's nothing up there right now, and is it just a planted hill, grassy hill? So that retaining wall will be cut out of that,
Mhm.
cut into that existing hill. Okay, sake of time, sorry, can I have a motion to open a public hearing, I think at this point?
Michael Aronson, motion to open public hearing.
Eric Talbot, I second it.
All right, any objections? No objections, we're in a public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak to this application tonight from the public? Don't see any hands in the room. Is there anybody on Zoom? You can use the hand raise function if you would like to speak to this application. I don't see any hands on Zoom. Can I have a motion from the board to adjourn the public hearing?
Eric Talbot, I make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Thank you for using my intonation. Any objections? No objections, that motion carries. Just go back to the applicant. Do you guys have any questions? Do you have clarity in terms of what's been asked of you, in terms of responding to the comments that have been made tonight, comments made by the professionals?
Perfect. This is great feedback. If we have any questions, we'll reach out to staff, but I think we have our marching orders.
Very good, thank you. Can I have a motion to adjourn the application this evening?
Eric Talbot, I'll make the motion to adjourn this application.
Brenda Barbach, second motion.
Any objections? No objections, that carries.
Good night.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you
Good night,
for your
guys.
time.
Alrighty. Great. Okay, so we are gonna move up. We're gonna move on right now, guys, to continuing business. The first item, continuing business on the board. Let the transition happen here is 237 North Highland. All right, so 237 North Highland. So this is site plan and BAR approvals for renovations and alterations of the building facade. I guess bring the applicant in. You guys can give us an update on where we are right now, and then we'll kind of get it about.
Excellent. For the record, Corey Salama from Zarin and Steinmetz here tonight on behalf of the applicant. Here with me this evening are John Canning, Bonnie Von Olson, and Peter Saltakis from Kimley Horn, Angelo Manicchio, the applicant, as well as Joe Thompson, our project architect. So we last were before you on June 25th. The focus of the discussion was on traffic circulation near the pumps and lighting. We've revised our lighting plan. I know there was a certain couple spots where it was not zero at the line. We've since adjusted it, so we're zero everywhere at the property line. So we've addressed that. With respect to the circulation, as we said at the last meeting, the applicant really wanted the angled islands. But after seeing the consultant's memos, we went back to the drawing board, and I'm going to turn over to John Canning shortly to show you just to show you some plans that we've done. They have not been submitted, so we understand no one's digested them, but we just want to talk it through with you.
In terms of just working through and understanding and looking at these guys diagrammatic.
Correct. We understand we'll have to make
to the public.
a supplemental submission for your next meeting. We understand that, but I just wanted to introduce that this evening. But before I turn it over to John, I just want to turn it over to Angelo. He wanted to say a couple words too.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Court. Thank you, Chairman Roy and the board. So I'm Angelo Manicchio, 237 North Island Avenue, owner of Manicchio Brothers. And listened to your concerns at the last meeting. We went back into the field and, we tried to put our heads together and see what would work. So our team here, John's going to explain what we came up with, and hopefully this will be a better favorable outcome.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelo. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is John Canning with Kimley Horn. I'm a traffic engineer. So both of your consultants provided a number of comments and suggestions on our proposed angled fuel pump configuration, including a suggestion that we consider an alternative fuel island layout where there were 3 fuel pumps parallel to North Highland Avenue with fueling positions on either side. And with a 12-foot bypass lane on either side, and then continued two-way access at both driveways, which was provided, and there was a graphic provided by Keller Sessions. So we have taken a considerable amount of time and effort to evaluate that with truck turning movements, particularly in consideration of the fact that a lot of the customers, in addition to automobile traffic, there are a number of landscape companies that use the site, and there's Ossining is a bit of a boating town so that you can have people with boats in tow. So based on our review, we do agree that your consultant's recommendation, almost to a T, is a preferable configuration, especially considering these matters. And so we would like to resubmit basically that application. We have also addressed the lighting comment, and our delivery hours, as was noted in the consultant's memo, will be from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. so we don't conflict with activity at the site. So except for filing a formal site plan reflecting your consultant's recommendation, I think we've addressed all of the major issues that you have. I do have, I know this board doesn't like to get submissions at the last minute, so we didn't give you anything, but we do have some plans to basically show what that looks like and show the turning template. So if you like to, you could get an advanced copy.
I think it would be fair in terms of for allowing this board to give feedback to the applicant in this context, just to look at that, not to consider it for approval, but just to look at it for, for the purpose of discussion.
So that you could direct us that, yes, you're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that would be reasonable.
Okay. Well, we have this on the thumb drive. This basically is our version of your consultant's plan, which I measured them, and our version was 1.5 feet further south and 1.3 feet further east. On a great proponent of Bayesian theorem, which basically is if you got two experts, pick the answer in the middle. So when we go and revise that, thank you. This shows the comparison, okay? So on this, you see the comparison. Basically, the gray one is what I proposed independently, and then the red one is what your consultant proposed. So they're virtually identical.
So, and just I think for board members clarifying, in Tony's memo, there was a diagram. Yeah, that would be actually really helpful. That we can put up here. It was in that diagram was in the memo, right, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay. You're just kind of outlining an alternate, or was it redlined over one?
It was in the middle of the memo.
Below the comment. Below the memo, actually. Put the image below the comment.
Not on this copy. It was definitely there. Cause it was.
This is the best spots though.
Oh, that's
I mean, we're really good friends, but.
I just told Brenda my contacts are like
There it
completely
is,
dry.
yeah.
I apologize.
Okay.
And we just did that on PDF.
Yeah.
So it's not so,
Right. So, understood. So, and so I think in all of these, I just want to make sure that we're, again, just that we're looking at the changes that have happened here, because in addition to this rotation and this, the kind of turning these, your proposal this evening to rotate these pumps in parallel, there was also some changes made up at the building line, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Response to what we had talked about last meeting, which was the intent was to move the.
So people will not be entering into a potential travel way.
Right. And so it's really kind of the totality of those two changes that we're focusing on. And I think it's mean, I'm happy to hear any kind of board comments, questions on this. I think we obviously would need to see kind of how cars are now moving through what looks to be a much, more workable.
We do, we have that as well. We try to be as prepared as possible. So this basically shows what it would be like if you had 6 full-sized vehicles, 19 feet by 7 feet, which are basically a Ford F-150 in each of the spaces, and the middle vehicles departing, so you can see how they get in and they get out. Yes, yeah.
And could you just clarify between the first 2 drawings, the second drawing with the red bars?
So
what that
the second
represents?
drawing with the red bars is identical to the first drawing, except that the red bars are Cody's colored sessions pump locations overlaid on the first drawing.
His red
I
line.
see.
So you can see how close they are.
Okay, thank you.
I guess kind of while we're looking at this, kind of Tony and Valerie, I know that you guys have had comment on these and most of it's related to circulation. And I realize we're kind of just looking at these sketches right now for the purposes of making sure that if there are changes in response to your memos from from their plans for this month's submission. Is there anything else that we should be looking at talking about on this?
I mean, based on mine, no. I mean, I think really the biggest issue was still that internal circulation and then the lighting, which I know there was a revised lighting plan that will be submitted. But that was really the biggest issue by far was the internal circulation.
So same thing for us. That was
Yeah.
the last outstanding item. And once, if this is the route you go, you get rid of the sign that you showed now.
Right.
You not have to worry about the arrows.
Right, they could keep
Plus, the
it-
world doesn't change, right? The
Right.
users get in and they're familiar with how it operates.
And how does this impact the canopy? Because I know that was a major part of this proposal as well.
So I don't think it impacts the canopy significantly, but where's our?
Good evening, I'm Jesse Thompson, architect. So the canopy, as part of the next submission, will have revised shop drawings incorporated, but it's a simple rectangular linear canopy. So we see no issue with the change. And to your point before, what we did with the buildings, took that entrance, moved around the side, that mitigates the potential for vehicular pedestrian conflict. So I think overall, these have been some significant improvements that hopefully move this application forward in the right direction.
Great. Board members, any kind of questions or thoughts on these?
I just want to clarify, the traffic flow is one way now or?
No,
Not?
it's not.
Okay.
And there's kind of 2 reasons for that. The first one is that your vehicle has, depending on what type of car you drive, the fuel on one side or the fuel on the other, and I can never remember which, even in my own car.
The
Right?
little arrow on.
Yeah.
On the fuel gauge.
No, I always thought the old cars, the pump, the way the pump is saying.
Really?
On the
Oh, she
actual.
took that,
There's
yeah.
all, there's all.
Oh, there's a little arrow next to your,
Is is it?
I feel like we all learned about it like last year.
So with the 2-way operation, the way it's set up now, and I think you'll see that from the diagrams. With the 2-way operation, you can approach the site from the north or from the south, and then you just pull a simple right turn in going southbound, a simple left turn in going northbound, and then depending on whether your gas cap is on the left or the right, you can go to the left or the right of the island. And then there's also enough room to go past. So I think and then leaving, it's more or less the same. So I think we've accomplished a lot. And I'm hoping we're definitely moving in the right direction.
And these are parking spaces for the convenience store?
Those are actually the fuel.
Oh, those are the fuel tanks.
Yes, the fuel tanks, pardon me.
So if in fact I needed to back up and go around somebody or turn my car around to get, because I come in the wrong way and I realize my gas is on the other
So
side, I can do that. there.
You can do that there. You have enough room, I think, to do it at either end.
Okay.
I know we spent a lot of time focusing on fuel pumps, but then
Yeah.
the traffic for going in and out of the car wash and like the north south.
Yep.
Is that going from north to south?
Yes.
They'll Go out,
Yes.
and there's enough room here for them to turn.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's staying the way that it is right now, right?
Correct.
That's, yeah. Great. Okay. So I think we've heard staff's comments. I think that sounds like you're working so that next time we come here, we'll have a formalized version of what you showed us today. And at that point, hopefully we'll have comments back from our consultants.
Sure, that would be super if you guys have had the opportunity to, if we get it in on time, you have a chance to review it. We might get this off your desk.
Okay, so any other board questions before we go back into the public hearing? Have a motion to open the public hearing.
Michael Aronson, motion to open a public hearing.
Thank you.
Brenda Barbach, second motion.
Any objections? No objections. Is there anybody here from the public to speak to this application? Do not see anybody. Is there anybody on Zoom? No. There's nobody. There's actually nobody on Zoom. So can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Brenda Barbach, second motion.
Any objections? No objections. You guys have all your questions answered, know where you are. Very good. We're good. No other comments. I have a motion to adjourn the application.
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to adjourn the application.
Michael Aronson, second.
Any objections? No objections. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, guys.
One question.
Yep.
Do you guys have a meeting in August or
We do not have a
we
meeting.
do not have a meeting in September? All right. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Have a
Very
great
good.
night.
Okay. Yes, we are up. All right, guys, next up on the agenda, we have planning board 02/2024, and it's a BAR 06/2024. This is for 16 Camp Woods Road. And this is for site plan and BAR approvals, legalizing a construction yard and accessory garage. We are back. So I guess I'll let you guys kind of give us the update where we are, and I'll punt over to Valerie and Tony, and we'll go from there. All right.
Thank you. Jim Anacarico with Corona Engineering. So we weren't able to make a submission
for a moment.
Sure.
We lost Matt.
Oh, I can be Patty.
Can you be Maddie and at least get our site plan up on the board while we talk? That would be wonderful. And then I'll let you continue talking as Valerie. Yep, and now it's back.
She had that time. She had that time perfect.
Musical chairs. Sorry about that. That's continued.
Quite all right. Thank you.
Teamwork.
So we're unable to make a submission for the last meeting because we were making our zoning board submission. So we were at the June 11th zoning board, and we received all the area variances that we needed, requested. So we were then able to make a submission back to your board and address what I think are all the comments that were outstanding. Tony provided a memo that said we had addressed all his comments. Valerie had some minor comments, I believe, that are remaining that I think some of them were questions for you guys. But we have asked that you consider that and consider the application for approval tonight.
All right, yeah, so let's focus in on the site plan as it was submitted, the after. So Valerie, maybe that'd be helpful then, I know your comments were more directed at the board as was noted.
Yeah, I mean, just a couple of things dealing with the actual, the notes on the plans in terms of like the actual vehicles and equipment. We were just raising whether that needs to be like a little bit more specific than what's noted there. And I think, and I'm gonna pass it to Taryn because I think there was a couple comments from Linda.
Yeah.
When she was looking at it based on the requirements from the ZBA in terms of notes as well.
Yeah, so looking at the site plan, there's a table called property details that's somewhere on here.
Probably up top, right?
Yeah, there it is. There used to be a line item called business vehicles
Right.
that seems to have dropped off.
I think I took that off because it wasn't up to that point. It wasn't really. There was really no specific request or ask that we, call out exactly what vehicles we were going to have here. I believe the use variance only allows up to 4 vehicles, construction vehicles, that is.
Yeah.
There's 4 spaces for employee parking, and then there's up to 4 spaces for construction vehicles on site. I didn't, nobody had commented on it up to that point, and I just thought it was maybe locking John into, something specific that wasn't really necessary.
So maybe, oh, go ahead.
So the board should consider whether or not they want that level of specificity set forth on this plan.
Yeah. Can we look, actually, and I know that the space, right, is designated on the plan where those vehicles would be.
Right, it's within the fenced area, called out as the construction yard. It does not include the grass area in the back. You'd have to go down to the next one, Maddie.
But there's no actual, it's not like striped spots for those vehicles.
Right, those striped spots that are shown there just to the right as you come into the gate are for the employee parking.
But then you
The
can still,
construction vehicles would, basically be towards the to the right of those vehicles where the garages are gonna come down. That's the area, that's the logical area for them. Not gonna park them, right in front of the garages. I should also mention that we did have the ZBA use variance clarified. That the vehicles they're not required to be inside the garages. The vehicles can be outside.
but maybe having the 4 vehicles noted on the plans would be helpful.
And so, yeah, to Valerie's point, I believe we should add a note to this plan stating the ZBA's condition that no more than 4 construction vehicles may be parked on the contractor's yard at any time. Just so that condition doesn't get lost throughout time.
Sure.
What, just kind of practically speaking, what trucks are typically stored there? So,
Probably a dump truck, maybe a utility truck that's, a smaller dump, a trailer with an excavator. John, you want to say anything to that?
Vehicles are all different shapes and sizes, and every few years we change them. Just like today you're driving a Honda Civic, tomorrow you're driving a Tahoe, different sizes, different things. So when it comes to that kind of vehicle, it's kind of hard to label exactly how and they're gonna park, what size they're gonna fit in. It's one day might be one vehicle, tomorrow be a different vehicle. Just things are evolving for a vehicle car, for cars. I mean, who keeps a car longer than 10 years or whatever? Things change. Things get, car gets a little old, you buy a different car. It could be bigger, it could be smaller, might fit in a different spot. So that's why I kind of told Jim to keep it kind of vague for us, because it's not always going to be the same vehicle.
right, but I think, there's a difference between, small dump truck and a tractor trailer, right? So.
I'm not putting tractor trailer.
No, I understand, but,
If you want to exclude that, you could.
You could exclude tractor trailer.
I'm thinking just more in terms of vehicle size.
So dump trucks also change in sizes too.
Right.
There's, 5 different size dump trucks. I mean, it's like.
Right, but
I own all 5 different sizes, so it's like.
There may be limits to what we may feel is appropriate to fit here. I think that's what I was trying to feel that out, so we can kind of.
Right. Well, I guess maybe I could put it to you this way. There's probably enough room for, I'd say, 8 dump trucks in the back part of this property. From the garage, if you could maybe just pan down, from the stucco garage on the right to the fence, there's probably room for 4 dump trucks there. Over where the garage is coming down on the next to the employee parking.
Park parallel.
Down there, you could probably put 5 dump trucks there. So there's plenty of room, and if we're limited to 4 vehicles, then
I see room for 6.
Yeah, and I was gonna say there's probably two more along the two more along the fence line.
Like cars don't fit in the spots that easily, They're longer than, a car is an 18-foot parking spot. A truck could be a 35-foot parking spot. It's like, they're bigger. They don't make the turn, so they'll probably be parked straight in like that. It's the easiest way to park.
So
Straight back.
You pull straight in and go, yeah.
Go straight back to the fence and that's it. Like to maneuver into the spots, it's like hard.
Yeah, that's not.
This doesn't work.
You gotta be unless you want to do like a 50-point turn.
Yeah, it's just it gets difficult.
Trying to look like you were about to.
I was gonna say, I think by adding the zoning board condition that no more than 4 vehicles associated with the applicant's construction business shall be parked on the property anytime. I think by saying the construction business kind of limits the type of vehicles that can be parked on the property.
Right. I think
No.
that's fair. Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comment, and I think it's the purpose of kind of talking through it and understanding what that'll look like and be. It's easier to talk through it.
Right. Yep, no, understood.
That's what we're here for.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, so other than that condition, what else did we?
The only other thing I was just raising is that the grassed area. So it's a large area and my only concern would be if that just becomes, not maintained and overgrown. So I don't know if there's a way to require like maintenance of that grassed area or cutting or some sort of landscaping. So that's the one thing I raised last.
What is that right now back there? It's just
Mostly if it's grass, we have weekly maintenance on there, but we also have an area where we plant vegetables.
Okay.
Back, so. There's like a area maybe like 20 by 40, that's just like a vegetable garden, the rest of it's all just grass, and it gets
Is
mowed.
that for the tenants, the vegetables, or it's your own personal?
for you.
Some of my own, some of my employees also, they, they like to go tomatoes and. It's
Sunny.
They don't really have the space at their houses, so. Yeah, I mean, if there was access from there, like from other areas instead of coming through the yard, I would definitely allow anybody to go plant back there. There's plenty of room for anything over there, so.
Would we feel comfortable at just having a condition that area will be neatly,
Yeah.
tidily or neatly
Correct.
landscaped?
I mean, isn't that already the law?
Not necessarily.
I thought you had to have, the whole area, because you only have to maintain from the curb.
And
Yeah,
this is
we're
not-
talking
you
about,
can't
right,
see
this is
from the
their.
street.
No,
Right.
I'm saying it's like, isn't there already a law that you have to maintain
Your property. Yeah.
Oh, you mean the property maintenance code, you mean?
Like, yes.
species?
No, like, make like you need to mow the lawn, you can't have things overgrown, that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I just wonder, I mean, how visible is this from the street?
It's not visible at
Not,
all.
my concern is the neighbors, right?
Wait, let me
Oh.
finish my. Figure it out, so not just because it's visible from the street, but like it looks not nice. I mean, part of the reason that there's a brush and weeds ordinance is because it can be a fire hazard, right? So my point is, if a code enforcement officer can't easily see it from the street, how would they know? So I think having a condition would probably.
Yes.
And I think the other piece, and I think this may have been in Valerie's memo, is the idea.
The thing that's in, I mean, you still have to have somebody check it if you have it.
It's just an extra tooth, I think.
Yeah.
In case there's any issues, you can come back like, yeah, you're not doing your job. I understand.
It sounds like it's already being done, and so.
Yeah.
It
it's
shouldn't
just
be an
a-
issue, it's
right.
already being done.
Yeah, doesn't
But
seem like a
it'd be good
burden
to
or anything.
Specify it.
I mean, that area previously, there were, materials stored there. So
Right.
we've given that up. So.
Right, no, understood, understood. Right, but if, for it to become a kind of a forest of invasive species that then spread to the other,
The neighbors have that
Neighbors.
for a little while, they put bamboo and they spread it to that property.
Oh, that's awesome.
Then I went there, had to dig everything out, like the roots, because the roots were like that thick, everything had to be.
That's horrible.
To get it back to grass, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay, are there any other conditions or,
That was all I had.
okay,
Valerie, I thought in one of the memos that I read, there was some a question or request about displacement assistance for. the-
That was Westchester County that they raised that, but I think we already addressed that at a prior meeting. Where they talked about how, I think most of your tenants are remaining, correct?
Yeah.
And I think it was one, yeah,
One unit down.
right,
Is that? So the question was, where is that?
right, right,
I think that's just, I was.
The unit's been
reflecting.
empty for a while,
Yeah.
the one unit.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we raised this at a prior, I don't know if Michael, if you were there or not, but.
I'm holding
Oh,
off
I-
before doing things so I
maybe
can
not.
actually do the work to fix it, and I'll rent it out.
Oh, so you're not actually losing any units?
Yes, we are.
Oh,
I am,
We have
but
to
I've
go
been losing
from 5
a
to
unit for a
4.
while now, because the
Oh.
tenant left, I never built the spot,
Okay.
so. I kind of just been.
That was
hanging
part, that
on.
was part of
It
the
was
use
all part of
variance.
this process, and I was like, let me keep it empty, so it's not, something I have to worry about later.
Sorry if I'm making you repeat.
No, that's fine.
other board questions?
No.
All right, I think that we have, defined and kind of answered the open questions there, and it sounds like they're kind of of the conditional nature. So we have a motion to reopen the public hearing,
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to reopen the public hearing.
and I will just simply make a
Michael
note.
Aronson,
Oh,
second.
sorry. Any objections? Michael seconded. No objections. Motion carries. We're in a public hearing. There's nobody in the room. There's nobody on Zoom. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing? I mean, before I ask for that, just want to make sure, Karen, we're comfortable with the conditions that we've kind of been outlining and discussing, that we're kind of at that point.
It's time.
Yeah, and board members.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any objections? No objections. That motion carries. I think we've just outlined conditions related to a note on the drawing referencing the ZBA restriction of 4 construction vehicles on the site. And I guess related to the owner's business and the maintenance of the grassy area in the rear. That. Right.
Yeah.
Good for those. So we have a motion to approve the application with those conditions.
Eric Talbot, I make a motion to approve the application with the stated conditions.
Brenda Barback's motion.
And we will do a roll call.
Eric Talbot.
Aye.
Mike Lawrence.
Aye.
Brenda Burback. Aye. Delegate McGinnis. Aye. And Chair Boyd.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
See you again. Yes.
So what's the next step?
So-
The updated drawings with whatever's missing on there and you go see.
So there,
Off the application. for-
yeah, so I guess there's a building application permit that we need. There will be a resolution that comes from this board.
The resolution.
You need for that resolution,
Done,
yeah.
then we
Well, you
get.
can, I mean, you can start working on those
I have
drawings.
to get,
ready, but
I have
that-
to get you the drawings, I would imagine,
Correct.
before you'll
We'll
give
get
us
the
the
resolution.
resolution. So,
And
Oh, okay.
and then it goes to Joe for building permit after the resolution is executed.
Joe, do
Great.
you need to say anything?
What's our deadline? It's coming up soon, right?
there really is no deadline, right? Because we're not coming back to a meeting.
There
but
was-
I'm gonna get it done anyway,
Was
probably.
there extended approval?
That I don't know.
Oh, the approval, well, the ZBA, I think the ZBA was 1 year, it's in September. The original use variance we had 1 year.
So we
So-
should be able to get. into
So
that
we made it. I think we made it. I'll have it in within
You just
the,
have to make sure, submit the application, because you have to obtain a permit before that expiration date,
got it.
Or request an extension.
or
Got it.
request an extension, correct?
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks,
everybody's
guys.
efforts.
Yeah,
and help.
for sure.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, before we all go home, no, that's the last item on the agenda. Any ongoing application items that we need to kind of attend to?
171 is adjourned again this month. They're still dealing with the Culvert, thank you.
All right, yeah.
80 Main Street, so 80 Main Street, 99 Croton Avenue and Riverwalk, which is the Snowden Avenue project. We have not received any resubmissions from either one of those, so we would like to reach out to each one of those applicants and do what we did similar to other prior, saying, please submit by the September meeting, right? This gives them 2 months of, and then if not, then they potentially would be removed from the agenda and then can resubmit once they're ready to move forward with their
All right,
project.
that makes sense.
Okay.
Great if you could do that. All right. If there's no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Michael Aronson, motion to adjourn.
Brenda Barback second.
Any objections? No objections. Thank you guys very much.
Jamie before.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Yes.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jamie. Happy birthday to you. What a great way to celebrate your birthday, Jamie. And look at that.
I know, it was amazing. Thank you very much.
Today is for action.
That's awesome.
I'm sorry you're working
Thank you
today.
for sharing your birthday with us, Jamie.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
You all.